If you want to be a part of the conversation before it happens here on YouTube, click that link in the description to join the free Courtside Financial Discord. What's going on, everyone? My name is Obi, and welcome back to the Courtside Financial Podcast, the podcast where we talk about business and technology. Today, we've got us focused on the EV industry. EV industry as a whole, of course, we love NIO on this channel, or at least I do. I'm a NIO investor. Backed by popular demand, we've got Marty. Last podcast was his first podcast. It was very well received. You guys loved him. So I thought, why not bring him on for another episode? And I'm pretty sure he's got some interesting topics to talk about today, some things that we discussed, and I think that you guys will be very intrigued by them. Hey, Marty, how are you doing today?
Hey, hi, Obi. Thanks for having me on again. It's good to be back. Have to tell you that was the last time I was with you was the first podcast I was ever on. I've never done a podcast. I do research, I do analysis, I do consulting, and almost all the work I do is written or spoken. So I've never been on, but when I read some of the comments from the viewers, they've really encouraged me to want to come back and share some of my thoughts, and they're my opinions, my thoughts. Um, Again, do your own due diligence. I am not a financial advisor. I do not work for NIO. I do not work for a bank. I do not work for any company but my own company. And all I can do is read up on as much EV material as possible and then draw conclusions based on what is presented to me as facts. We all know in this industry, things get distorted. So I would tell people, I'm going to have some things to say to you all tonight. Some of them are probably pretty radical. And, but again, it's based on research that I've done and where I think it's going. Um, I don't get my research, I don't do my research by reading stock information. Okay. I rely more on technical publications, technical websites, automotive websites, people that are in the trades that have to do with automotive. I certainly don't get my advice from Zacks or Seeking Alpha or Investor's Place. That's not where I get my advice, and that's not where anything I'm going to tell you is coming from. I'll tell you that. I'll say that much.
Thanks, Marty. And I think that's the beauty of it. I think that's what the people love is that you are obviously a technical person. You have your own technology consulting company, your own technology integration company. And I think what they like is that you're someone who's, truly invested in all the information that you do research on. If you see this guy's computer, he's got tons and tons of notes and pages of information. And me and him were actually just talking through a bunch of things for like 3 hours, and a lot of these things I didn't know. So it's always good to talk to you. And I think the beauty in it is that you're coming from a place of realism and sharing your belief, sharing your truth of where you think the stock is, not the stock, but where you think the company is going to go.
Well, in the industry,
The industry.
I'm a NIO enthusiast. I'll say right now, I have total respect for Tesla. I've never even thought about shorting Tesla. I wish Tesla nothing but the best because Tesla put EVs on the map in China and in the United States and elsewhere. They were really the first popular model, and most of the companies in China are basically they're chasing Tesla. Let's face it. Now Tesla is under some pressure, and right now, I actually see this as the time we're in right now. I'm calling it the great EV restart. Everybody gets to go back to the beginning. Everybody gets their stock prices go down. They're getting beat up, bad press, mostly contrived by the oil industry. And also, unfortunately, I don't want to put anyone down, but conservative politicians on all continents are doing everything they can to retard EV advancements. And that's the reality we live in. It's what they're going to, but Lucid's back to the starting gate. Rivian's back to the starting gate. NIO's back to the starting gate, and Tesla's heading back to the starting gate. And we'll see where things go from here. It's a whole new world, and it's going to be extremely interesting, extremely profitable for people who make the right choices, not only in their investments, but in what businesses they go into. Because the EV business, when it really gets going, or the EV industry, when it really gets going, is going to mean so many jobs in so many industries, from power generation to plastics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um,
Asset
it's going to
management.
be the next, to me, it looked like it was going to already happen, but it hasn't happened yet. But to me, it's going to rival the early 2000s, when the internet really started getting traction. That's what we're in now. And then we had the internet boom, and then there was a big internet bust. Well, guess what? eBay's still around, Amazon's still around, right? They're all still here. They didn't bust. Pets.com busted. There was some bad ideas, but the internet is, you know, it's a death announcement happened a long time ago, and not only alive, it's expanded into AI and everything else. Whole nother story.
And I like
Let's go back to EVs.
I like how you talk about the great EV reset. I think in the climate that we're in right now, it's not 2020 where any company can just pop up with a ticker symbol, snap their fingers, and get funding. Interest rates are high right now. So companies are being forced to do a lot more with a lot less. And they're being forced to make strategic decisions about when they decide to raise capital, because that's going to bring about dilution for investors in a market where EV stocks aren't necessarily flying right now. That's beyond the point. Let me set some structure for today's episode, kind of hit on what I want to talk about in today's episode, because I know we talked about some things and I think you've got a bold prediction for the people. But before I set the agenda, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10K subscribers before the year is over. If you could help us out with that, we'd be ever so grateful. Click the like button, leave a comment down below. Your engagement really does go a long way in helping out the channel, helping us to reach a broader audience, and hit the notification bell icon so you don't miss out on any future post. But Marty, to kind of set the agenda, I've got maybe 1 to 6 topics that I want to talk about today. I've got them written down right here. I kind of want to start with number one, NIO and their battery technology over the last 3 years. I want to pivot from there to government support, particularly around Tesla, who seems to be the major winner of government support in the US. Tesla opening up their ecosystem to multiple players as far as their charging infrastructure, slashing headcount in their EV charging
Well,
business.
a couple of other things happened in there.
One more thing, and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
And then I also wanted to talk about NIO, semi-solid state battery, and the parallels between what Tesla had recently announced this week. So
Well,
you're up to go.
that's what I
That
know about.
was
I could
that's
talk about.
information
I could
that you
speak
gave
about.
me, so I wanted
Yeah.
to highlight that in the agenda.
Okay. Um, what separates NIO from not everybody else, but most of the pack, obviously, is swappable batteries. Two things that separates NIO. First thing is a swappable battery. The swappable battery in the battery business goes back a long way. Uh, we know Tesla's done it. We know about Better Place. As you and I were discussing before, a few people know that the first patent for battery swapping was actually Ford. It was back in the 1940s. Never made it. They had a patent. They patented a swappable battery. They didn't manufacture it. Most patents that are out are not really not products yet. The majority of patents, where somebody gets an idea, they patent the idea. Most of them don't get to manufacturing or production. But anyhow, NIO from the beginning was going to swap batteries and did swap batteries, and they did it successfully. NIO and CATL have a long relationship, and it was not always a good relationship. The relationship in the early time, CATL actually threatened to cut NIO off if they didn't pay up. They were behind, and there was some friction there. And what NIO did to get back in good graces was also get money, raise money. But the other thing they did is, unlike most other companies CATL was dealing with, NIO actually had some superior technology to CATL when it came to battery formulation. They started getting involved. I'm going to try to be as exact as I can. They started getting involved with CATL as a partner in 2020 when they formed Miratery. Miratery, Marttery, was and is a battery management company that now has, I believe, something like 10 gigawatts under. They have a huge amount of battery power under their control right now that they're managing. Because remember, they're swappable batteries. Those batteries are owned by the manufacturer. They're not owned by the driver. Okay, you can buy a battery with a NIO and it's your battery, but most people, most NIO and cattle and CATL rent batteries, right? 2020, in 2020 they get into Miratery and they get into a working relationship. By 2022, CATL has EVgo, which is their battery swapping, which is remarkably similar to NIO battery swapping. CATL also licenses that. They license that to other people, to EVgo, but EVgo is it isn't. It's mostly for, it's like Geely swaps too, but they only swap for commercial. So by 2022, we have EVgo. While that's happening, NIO is working with Lion, and they are already saying we're going to develop a 150 kilowatt hour battery that'll have 1,000-mile range. They start talking about it in 21. 22, they actually say they're going to get it out by 22, but it doesn't really happen until 24. So let's fast forward to December of 2023 or November of 2023. Tesla starts adding other companies to their supercharger network. I believe Ford joins in the United States and other. So at the same time, NIO is inviting other companies to join them in battery swapping. So what does NIO do to prove that their battery system is better than anyone else? Li Bin gets in a ET7 and he does a live broadcast of that vehicle doing 1,000 kilometers, 621 miles live, and it works. Nobody's ever come close to that. And
point on that real quick, they say you could drive, for those of you in the US, they say you can drive all the way from Detroit to New York on a single charge with that battery. So that just shows you the significance of it.
It's equivalent to 3 tankfuls of gas that you can get in 8 minutes. Another thing about that battery, it's not only a high density battery, and it's what I should have said earlier, it's a solid state battery. You have another company in the United States called QuantumScape that's been talking and involved in solid state batteries. That's the key, that's the key here. And also for CATL and for BYD is a solid state. That's like the holy grail of batteries, is a solid state battery that charges fast, lasts long. But everybody should remember this. It does not matter how fast a battery charges. It matters how long a battery lasts. Battery could charge in 2 seconds. If it only lasts 3 years, you're buying a new battery in 3 years. And that's something people have to understand. These fast charging ideas are good for convenience, but they're bad for depreciation. A fixed battery will degrade and it will depreciate the entire vehicle. And that's a big problem with Tesla. That's what got him in trouble with Hertz and at 6.
And it's also an industry problem too. William Li, not too long ago at a conference, I forget the name of the conference, there's so many in China, had an open call to the entire EV industry to extend the warranty on batteries, saying that millions and millions of batteries are reaching the industry standard, which is that 8-year mark. And that's going to leave a lot of consumers just holding the bag. So this is a really serious issue.
It certainly is, and it's been brought up. And when that issue started coming up, that was when Tesla stock started to drop. People started saying to use those Teslas at ridiculously low prices, which means if you and I owned a Tesla and we were trying to sell it at the same time, um, they'll overcome this. You know, Tesla will overcome that. It's still a great car. People love them. I'm in New Jersey. They're the only EV we see. We occasionally see Mustang and I see some Kias, but I'm in New Jersey, and Teslas are the prominent EV. Um, anyhow, so Tesla's got this problem, and what happens is Tesla in if I'm not in March, this past March, goes to CATL, which is providing their batteries, and now they want new technology from CATL, right? They want new data. They're making the Tesla battery, I believe, is a cylindrical battery. It's a different battery than CATL makes for other companies.
Mhm.
Again, I don't follow Tesla close enough to know what's in their battery. I just know it's not a NIO battery. It, um, anyhow, so they go to Tesla, and I want to read this from Reuters. This is from March 25th. Chinese electric vehicle battery maker CATL opens up talks with Tesla and other, pay attention to this, other unnamed automakers to license their battery technology. Okay. So Tesla's basically saying, and by the way, both Tesla and Ford tried to bring CATL into the US to manage their battery plants, which met with very stiff opposition. Virginia didn't want Ford's plant there. The governor gave them a hard time. Michigan let them in. I still think they're having a hard time. I think that plant may have been suspended, not 100% sure. Tesla wanted to do the same thing. They wanted CATL to come in and run their battery operation. I don't know if that's going to work. They're probably going to have to do something else, but CATL is making their batteries. There ain't no doubt about that. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. So at the same time, NIO signed another partnership agreement with cattle. Now, I say cattle, by the way, it's
I
CATL.
say cattle too.
Okay. So the if you go back and just look at the Reuters stories to stay consistent. Tesla's approaching CATL as a customer. NIO and CATL are partners. And on March 14th, they both announced that they are going, like it's what you're just saying, they're going to develop longer life batteries, a part of an efforts to lower the overall EV car cost. The partnership will leverage technologies from both companies seeking to lower so-called full cycle life of batteries. So it's key for it's key for, by the way, it's also key for NIO to lower the cost of batteries. That 150 kilowatt battery is a $42,000 battery, man. That's not chump change. That's an expensive piece of
The,
equipment. Some
the
people say it's
drawback,
well worth it. I'm not one of them.
I,
And neither has been Lee. We've
the
been, neither
only
has he. You know, we
the
both
only
put
drawback I see with solid state
so
batteries right now compared
so
to what's on the market is the cost. They're too expensive right now.
right. And so now we're in March, and April's going to change all of that. Because now let's move from March to April. A lot of April was just the most significant month in EV history. Beijing Auto Show. NIO's going to introduce ONVO. Excuse me. Oh, let's go back to March for a second. Another thing that happened in March. Lee Bin was on 60 Minutes, okay, and he was being interviewed by Leslie Stahl, and he showed the ET9, right, and she was amazed, as anyone would be when they see an ET9. They never see nothing that looked like it, and he says this is our flagship.
Mhm.
Did his piece. only company from China to be represented on 60 Minutes. They didn't go to anybody else. They went to NIO. Showed the thing. They showed at the ET9, not the thing, ET9. ET9, incredible technology, clear motion suspension, the 150 kilowatt hour battery, et cetera, floating seats, all sorts of incredible technology in it. So it gets shown on international TV. 60 Minutes is not only in the United States, people watch it all over the world. What happens after that? Well, the following Tuesday, Apple announces they're getting out of the EV business. They don't want no part of it. Okay. They're gonna put those people in the AI, they're putting them in the AI department. Why? My bet, this is my opinion. Tim Cook took one look at that ET9. He says, we ain't going to catch up to this for another 10 years, maybe longer.
And
Okay.
it's
So
a practical decision. You know, the EV business is capital intensive. Apple's a company that's cash rich, margin high.
you
Why are
can't
we
buy
so
time. Obi, you can't buy time. That's the thing. They could have all the money in the world. The development of a product like a Tesla, like a NIO, takes decades. It doesn't
yeah,
just take years. It literally takes decades to get it where you need it to go. So he saw that, and he just said, I'm not, Apple's a company that they didn't say they're never going to be in the EV business. They just said they're stopping their own. They don't make their own phones. They
they'll
don't
be
make
more
their
of
own
an integrate.
computers. Why should they make their own EVs? I doubt it's going to be a NIO, by the way, and I'll tell you why. NIO has a phone, and that a lot of people. I'm one of the few people who understand why NIO has a phone. NIO created a phone to make sure an Apple iPhone never got in the cockpit of a NIO. Okay, William Lee did not want an Apple iPhone in his cockpit. And he's got good reason why. The same reason that you're going to see other manufacturers with their own phone. That phone is a remote control device for your car and for your EV. So another story, not going to get into it now. Let's keep moving along with the timeline. Is we're still in March. We move over to April. NIO is at the Beijing Auto Show, which in 2022 NIO had the ET5 and the ET7 and the ET5 ready to go to that show. That show lasted one day and got closed down for COVID. And that's one of the reasons why the ET5 and the ET5's never been the big seller. It never got the exposure that it needed. Not nobody, but most people don't understand how big that Beijing Auto Show is. It's where the deals are made. And it's going on right now today as we speak. That show's going on right now. It's been going on all week. So NIO's showing an Onvo. They're showing their booth. I don't think they're showing Firefly. I'm not there. I don't know, I'll find out, but I don't think they're showing Firefly. They're probably talking about Firefly. Maybe a camouflage unit's there. I don't know. Somebody can let me know about that. Can send me an email, let me know, as a lot of people do. A lot of people send me emails and tell me stuff. So while that's going on, what happens with Elon Musk and Tesla? Number one, they didn't announce. Reuters announced that the Model 2 wasn't going to happen, or wasn't going to happen now, and that they were going to focus on Robotaxi. It was not well received news, even though Kathy Woods, she loves Robotaxis. She doesn't know very much about Robotaxis, but she loves them. Um, Tesla decided their best bet is to put, as Apple did, put our money where it matters, and they said they're going to do the Robotaxi. Now, here's what I want to tell your viewers. I'm going to make a prediction right now. Not right now, but I'm going to make a prediction that I don't know if anyone else has made it. I'm sure other people have drawn this conclusion, but I have nothing to lose. I have no skin in the game making this opinion. I want to point out something to you, Obi, that I got to pull up my notes. I don't read a teleprompter, but I do have some notes. A couple of days while the Beijing Auto Show is going on, Elon gets on a plane. He goes to China. He visits the vice premier, the second most powerful person in China. He visits him. and asked for permission to use full auto driving there, the Tesla system, to try, to get it to be considered for use in China, and it's under consideration. And it's an interesting move because what it basically did is it took the spotlight away from the Beijing Auto Show and put it on Tesla. Everybody was talking about Tesla's over there, he's seeing them, and well, he asked for the full self-driving. Don't you think the Chinese asked him for something back? Do
Of
you think they
course.
did? Do you think they asked him for anything back? I know they asked him for something back. And we're going to get to that in a minute. He after that, we know now the Model 2's gone. Moving forward, the Model 2's gone. Comes back to, I don't know where he goes back. He leaves China, he goes somewhere else. What's the next announcement we get? He's breaking up the supercharger team. He's either laying them off, letting them go, whatever. He just signed GM, not Ford and other companies on the
Rivian
supercharger,
as
and
well.
now he's saying he's going to back off. Anybody know why? Well, Marty thinks he knows why, and I'm going to say right now, I'm going to show you something. I want to read something to you. Give me a second. Okay. Again, I told you I do not get my news from stock reports. I get it from, I read, this is from 3 days ago. It's not dated. I have it up on my thing, but it's from Tech Radar. And the headline is Tesla EVs can get a massive range boost from a new battery tech that promises a 373-mile range and 10-minute charge. They then go on to describe this battery that's made by CATL. And I'm looking at this thing, and it took me about like an eighth of a second to realize these guys are just describing the same battery that was in the ET7 that they go on to say it was announced at the Beijing Auto Show last week that it could see as much as 621 miles from a single charge. That's a
Detroit to
thousand
Michigan,
kilometers.
Detroit to New York.
Detroit to New York, but it's also the same distance that William Lee drove in December. That's what he did. He did 621 miles. It's the same battery. They're calling it by the way, when that battery first when that battery was first developed, again, you got to give me a second, I'll find out. That battery was called the Wee Lion 1000. It STB or something like that, 1000. That's the origin of that battery. That's a Wee Lion battery. It was mostly funded by NIO, and that's a Wee Lion battery. And so this particular thing here, they says that the battery, oh yeah, fast charging will add a staggering 600 kilometers, and it been tested. Listen to this. It's been tested in temperatures as low as 20 degrees Celsius. If anyone saw the William Lee drive, when he ended up, everybody was wearing parkers. They were in the coldest part of China. He drove to the coldest part of that he could in northern China. So this is absolutely, in my opinion, well, my opinion is not absolute, but in my opinion,
It's absolutely your opinion.
this is the battery that's going into the Tesla Robotaxi. And Marty's opinion is the Tesla Robotaxi will swap batteries. And when that hits the street, watch out. And I'm going to leave it at that. There's more to follow, Obi. I'm going to have more follow-ups on that. I'm getting some new information on that. But my basic opinion is there's no way that Robotaxi hits the street with anything but a swappable battery. It just doesn't make sense. They're commercial vehicles. They need to change batteries quick. And I believe that all these little pieces, when you start connecting the dots, that battery that was described right there, that's the same battery that's going to be in an ET9, ET7, and I don't know if that battery goes into an ET5. I've really never checked up on that,
What do
but
you think of what do you think of them making, let's say it is the same battery. What do you think of them making a form factor specific to Tesla's chassis?
I I would say that because the NIO is on their third generation of battery swapping stations. I believe all of those battery swapping booths will handle any NIO, which means that a battery station could be adjusted retroactively. So in answer to your question, you still need a certain amount. I'm not a scientist, but you need a certain amount of physical mass. And I think that's one of the reasons what they want to lower cost in. They want to lower the mass, the size of the battery, lower the weight, lower the cost, add in reliability. That's what happens in the natural progression. I mean, I remember when it took like a minute for a picture to come down on the internet, and we were still amazed. Look, it only took 2 minutes for that picture to come down.
Mhm.
Now, now forget it. When I think about a picture, it comes up. If I'm thinking about something, suddenly it comes up on my screen. So I don't know where that comes. But anyhow,
Yeah, fiber.
um, they're gonna keep advancing the thing. And I do think your question, answer to your question, I believe the form factors. How does that go? Form follows function. Form follows
Absolutely.
function. So if somebody wants to get that into a triangular shape to get it on their chassis, CATL or BYD or We Lion or NIO, somebody will come up with a way to do it. That's not out of the question. But right now, the design that NIO has for that battery makes the most sense. It's flat, it's square, it fits under a chassis, it's swappable. Um, I have people tell me, well, someday the cars won't need batteries, the power will come out of the road. Those days are so far from now. You know how long it's going to take to rewire? They can't even put in supercharger stations, man. You think they're going to rewire the entire
So,
road surface in the United States? It's not, that ain't going to happen for a while.
so do you think that'll be in V1 of the robotaxis? And the robotaxi,
I think every robo taxi is going to be able to go to a NIO swap state. Here's the thing. That doesn't mean that every single Tesla is going to swap batteries. It doesn't mean every single NIO is going to even swap batteries in the future. The Firefly is not going to swap batteries. Some people don't. Some people don't want to. They don't want to pay, or they don't care about that. And by the way, people that are driving hybrids, they don't care about a swappable battery. They're never going to wear the
and,
battery out anyhow. They don't use the
and
battery enough. The government mandates are not going to change. Every government in the world says ICE is going. I don't know how fast it's going to go, but every government is in agreement. So the taxi industry is going to make a huge transformation. They need speed. Again, I've mentioned before, the military, first responders, commercial vehicles, already finding out the best way to emulate a fill up for a gasoline car is with a swap battery. And the robo taxi, if that's the battery they're going to use, I can't see I cannot, maybe, somebody could come on and make their point to say, I cannot see anybody investing in a robo taxi that will wear the battery out before that taxi is ready to go out of service. Plus, having to buy it. That's the other beauty of a swappable battery. You don't have to own it, you rent it. And if you don't need the big battery, you get the smaller battery. There's plenty of NIOs out there that have 75 watt batteries, and they work just fine. They're people who they're in urban areas. They don't have to travel great distances. They don't need a 1,000 mile battery. I personally don't need a 1,000 mile battery every day. I need it a few times a year. I certainly wouldn't pay no, I certainly wouldn't invest $40,000 in a battery, but I'll be happy to rent one if you give me the right price and if it's available in the US. And so what I'm basically saying is that is going to be the intro of, I don't see Tesla. Tesla doesn't have to put robo taxis in the US swapping batteries from day one, but they may do it in China because they're already going to have 2,300 by then, 3,000 swappable stations for the batteries that are already out there. And that's again, the same reason Geely, the same reason Shanghai, the same reason Jack, the same reason 47 is going with NIO, because why do they want to start out having to build all those stations when they could just add on? So we'll see what happens. They're going to reveal Robotaxi in August, and I could have a whole bunch of egg on my face, or maybe you'll be breaking this out and saying, "Remember, he said." I'm not the only one saying it, by the way. I mean, I've spoken to other people who absolutely in total agreement with that. A lot
Mhm.
of people, a lot of people that are in the industry.
A lot of the viewers on this channel say that a robotaxi will not make a lot of sense without a swappable battery for the exact same reasons.
Well, we'll see. Like again, form form follows function, and that's what and also necessity is the mother of invention. Tesla's having a bad freaking hair day, a bad hair month. And I think they need to change they need to come out with some new, and that's going to be in the United States. That's going to be something really exciting. By the way, if 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 CATL is working with Ford and working with Tesla and maybe working with Ford will immediately give them thousands of potential places to put swap stations in. You don't know if Tesla and Ford and Geely and 10 other companies decide they're going to, if everybody decides to start building battery swapping infrastructure, the Chinese have a saying, many fingers make light work. Okay. When you just have one person, one company doing it, they look like the oddball. Well, what Chicken Little happened with Chicken Little, right? Nobody wanted to help Chicken Little do it. And when he did it, he did it. And they didn't.
Yeah.
So that's what we have here. It won't be the first time, no, really. You think, look, the first people who invented the first automobiles were, you know, the cattle people, the horse people wanted to murder them. You're going to put us out of business, So we're seeing the same thing with the oil industry that could afford to pay networks all sorts of money to make EVs look bad. I haven't spoken to anyone who owns an EV who doesn't love it. Everyone I know I don't own an EV yet because I'm waiting for a NIO, by the way. Let's see what people think about that. How many people agree or disagree. But again, I'll go on record as saying I believe that Tesla robotaxis will swap batteries, and that battery is going to be one of the batteries is going to be the same battery that William Lee drove for 1,000 kilometers, 621 miles. That's the battery.
So,
It's and I'm pretty sure I would probably bet that NIO holds the majority of the patents on that specific battery.
so what are your thoughts on Tesla cutting the head count of its charging business after, like you just mentioned?
That's why. That's why they. I mean, I mean, he. When Elon Musk was just in China, like I told you, don't you think the Chinese swapping batteries is a government initiative in China. It's
Yes.
not just like a good NIO idea. What do you think Shanghai? Shanghai is the biggest supplier of government vehicles in China. Most of but we all know executives drive Audi A6s, that I get, but they don't make trucks and they don't make the staff cars and stuff. That's a Shanghai business. So of other, I'm sure other Chinese manufacturers supply too, but Shanghai is a big one. There's people out there talking. I haven't mentioned that three-letter company yet too, but there's a lot of people out there that say that again, they could go to BYD could go to swapping batteries. Doesn't mean that every model will swap batteries. They may want to do a commercial line that swaps batteries. They may want to do a high-end line. They are doing a high-end line right now, but they may want to do a high-end line that can take use of the 2,300 stations that is just going to keep going up. And they may want to do it too. We don't know. Maybe Lee may be doing. Lee may be. Everybody may be doing it someday. But all I can tell you, I don't know how many people know this. NIO has 9,200 patents. So many of those patents have to do with EV charging and EV swapping, battery swapping. I wonder how many people know that NIO holds the patent for swapping a battery in a moving vehicle, not in a booth, in a moving vehicle. They actually have a patent for that. That's a fact. That's a US patent too. Not many people know that, but someday, when people say the roads are gonna have electric in them, man, they might not have electric. You may just roll along another vehicle and get your battery swapped. Who knows? Who knows? Whoever knew there would be, whoever knew we would have Chat GPT, right? So anyhow, that's about all I have to say for that for tonight. This isn't my main way of making a living. I'm not making any living doing this, but I did enjoy it. I do enjoy it, and I enjoyed the comments, and I'll even enjoy some criticism. I mean, if anybody wants to, you know, my email's right on the thingy. Send me a message. I'll be happy to respond. If you have a different concept, you think I'm a screwball, let me know. You won't be the first person who thought I was a screwball. That's all I could say. All
All
right.
right. Well, thanks, Marty. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving your opinion, your insight. We look forward to seeing how things turn out when Tesla unveils the Robotaxi on August 8th and even into the future. Might
Yeah.
not
Well,
be
a lot of
a
good things are
V1
going to
thing, so we'll see how things play out.
August 8th is a little while. It's not that far away. August is a little bit away.
Months fly
Between now
by.
and then, there's going to be a lot more news, a lot more stories coming out. For NIO investors like myself, again, I am a NIO long. I've never shorted any stock. And I'm not against it. It's not how I operate. If I like something, I'm with it. If I'm not with it, I'm not out to hurt anyone. It's not in my personality. But let's see what happens. I believe that NIO stock is on the move and it's going to be positive. And once NIO gets going, it's going to get going for a while. We'll see all-time highs again, folks, and it won't be that long. You can take me you can take me at my word for that. I don't think it's going to be that long. People are going to be It's not going to be no 1926, 2026. It's going to be sooner than that, and it's going to be sooner than that and bigger than what we thought it was. Just the way the news coming out today is. Anyhow, have a great night. By the way, everybody, we're recording this at 1 a.m. in the morning. We're both on Eastern time today, and it's 1 a.m. in the morning, so I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, likewise. Well,
Have a
take
good
care,
night.
everyone. Have a good Friday, good weekend.
Yep.
Good.
Have a great weekend. Good luck. Happy trading. Bye.